This is Will Montgomery, former Washington Redskins center.
Yo, what's good, folks? This is Trey Johnson, the headbanger, yo, and you're listening to Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted. Word.
What's going on, Rally? How you been, man?
Oh, man. I'm just happy to be back on the airways with you, brother.
I'm right there with you, man. It feels good to be back. Not a ton happened over the past week, but we'll definitely make sure we cover it today. And, you know, it does feel good to be back on the air and get a chance to chat. Because did you go to practice last week? You get a chance to be out there with all the other fans?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't get an invite, so you can't go someplace that you're not invited to.
So I didn't make it out, and I know the media didn't make it out there, and a couple of the Commanders players didn't either, but we'll get into that in a minute. Before we jump into that, though, did you hear the latest on the trademark and the name?
So I heard that it was denied. I did hear that. But I have to say that it's kind of part for the course, because when I was getting my trademark, it took me a couple times, and it took me a long time, longer than what I would thought it would have been. So this really doesn't even faze me because I've gone through the process already.
So the problem I have is you've got the people that just want the name changed no matter what.
Right.
And this is just
Right.
adding fuel to the fire. So if you're listening to this, odds are you know what happened, but just in case you don't, the Commanders' application for the Washington Commanders was denied by the U.S. Patent and Trade Office. And they were told it was denied because it is too close to a couple of different existing trademarks and prior applications, one being the Commanders Classic, which is a football game that happens every year between Air Force and Army. So one's a football game that happens. One is an actual football team. I mean, I used to work at the U.S. Patent and Trade Office, not on trademark stuff, but, you know, doing some other fun stuff over there. Pretty smart people. I don't know how those two can kind of get confused. So
No, I don't see how they can get confused either. It almost seems like somebody, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm just going to just play devil's advocate. Someone in the trademark office doesn't like the Commanders and they want them to change the name. That's what it sounds like to me.
it sounds like some hokey stuff's going on. And it was also denied because of a gentleman by the name of Martin McCauley.
Yeah.
Martin, for those of our listeners that might remember, lives in Alexandria, and the guy's a squatter. He is what he is. He's squatted on over 40 different potential trademarks that the Commanders were going to change their names to. That at that time, the Redskins and Washington football team were going to change their names to. Martin has a trademark for Washington Space Commanders and Washington Wolf Commanders that he filed in August of 2021. So because of that, the USPTO denied the Commanders their actual trademark. Mm-hmm. Now, this guy Martin also had the name Washington Football Team trademarked back when we were trying to change our name to that. Well, the team, months and months later, a year plus, finally got Washington Football Team actually given to them as a trademark. So oddly enough, we are the Commanders. We are no longer the Washington Football Team, but the only trademark the team owns is Washington Football Team. Are we going to go back to it? I don't know. I hope not. I still have gear, but I hope not.
I still have gear as well. And, you know, Ted, here's the thing. At this juncture, almost every name that you can think of is taken at some shape, form, or fashion. So you're going to have to come out of the pocket, it sounds like, and pay someone something to get what you want, whether it's Red Wolves, which everyone says they want that, whether it's Red Tails, whatever it is, you're going to have to pay someone, because you're going to have to pay the Tuskegee Airmen. You know, who's the people who are left, I would assume. I could be wrong, but at this point, so you're going to pay someone. So go ahead and figure out how much you're willing to spend, and let's get this thing over with. I mean, really, that's the best that I can say, because it's not going to go anywhere. And like you said, this reminds me of if Heineke still played with us and Howe played a bad game, we'd have everyone yelling, "Put Heineke in." And so right now, everyone's yelling, change the name. It's right there. You can do it. It's so close. We don't like it. Change the name. That's what I relate this to.
And you're right, dude. The thing is, you're going to have a conflict with pretty much anything you go to. And this is a quote from Jason Wright. "We didn't want to risk going down a route that could be dotted with legal hurdles," Jason Wright wrote on the team's website in January of 2022. The prospect of years of litigation wasn't something that we wanted you, our fans, to have to bear as you begin to embrace a new brand. So this is why we didn't go with Red Wolves, because they were worried about a conflict with the Timberwolves and all this other stuff that happened. But yet it's been 15 months since we changed our name, and they still don't own the trademark. And yes, I get part of that is because the U.S. Patent and Trade Office, government entity, they're backed up. And the team has 3 months now to go back and appeal the initial decision of declining that, which the team is going to do. So a Commander's spokesperson came out and said, "The trademark office's recent non-final office action is an ordinary course step in the standard trademark registration process. We will respond to the trademark office's action and are confident that a registration will be issued." They also said there is no likelihood of confusion between our Commander's marks and the Commander's Classic college game. And we do not believe that any trademark registrations that were obtained by squatters who attempted to capitalize on a club's name change should stand in the way of our registrations. I agree with them. It's just more embarrassing off the field stuff that we as a fan base have to deal with, where Jason Wright said over a year ago, they don't want us to have to deal with that. Well, guess what? We are.
We had a nice Band-Aid on everything, and we stopped the bleeding, and everyone was happy. And now here we are, we're ripping that Band-Aid right back off, man. And now we're bleeding again. I'll be glad when we can finally get past all this stuff and put it behind us, man. I really am. I mean, all I want to do is focus on trips and football. That's all I want to focus on, not this trademark, not the name. And now here we still don't have officially the I's dotted or the T's crossed for the owner, even though it's in the background. It's not official yet.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to be official, I believe, for quite some time. The NFL owners had their owners' meetings last week. We've been yelling and screaming. Nothing's going to come out of that. So is all the other podcasts and shows around here. And if you guys pay attention, there's a reason why. I mean, Roger Goodell actually came out with this clip from the owners' meeting. Let me play that for you real quick.
And what do you think the prospects are for getting that deal to a point where it can be approved?
I think we'll get it to a place where it'll be approved. The committee really just had their first in-person meeting yesterday on the matter. We really got the documents last week. So we're hard at work as a staff looking at that as we do every transaction. There's a lot of due diligence as well as compliance issues. All of that's happening and working full speed. We'll be in contact with the Finance Committee. And when they're prepared to make a recommendation, we'll alert the media as well as the membership, and we'll move ahead and have a meeting at the appropriate time.
So I apologize for the audio. That was off of someone's cell phone that they recorded Roger Goodell at a podium out at the owners' meeting. But it's going to happen. It's just a matter of, remember, they've got to vet all of these people. The NFL allows you to have 24 limited partners. This deal has 20. So each one of those individuals, and only 10 of them we know the names of so far. So each one of those individuals has to have a financial check. as we found out lately with the whole Brian Davis debacle, his money, where it came from isn't exactly where he said it came from. And now he was suing Bank of America, and that actually just got thrown out of court by a judge because of everything going on. And that was with one person. So
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't believe in Brian Davis at all. I felt that that guy was just a shuckster based upon all of his bad financial dealings in the past with Christian Laettner and everything else we talked to AJ Perez about. And the truth was going to come to light. The NFL is going to do the due diligence to make sure that they're not getting in bed with someone that has, you know, Saudi money or wherever it was rumored at one point in time. And then he goes on with a junkie saying his money comes from rich white people. And you find out that it doesn't come from rich white people. You know, I mean, the whole thing is a joke. And I'm honestly shocked that he thought that he was going to be able to pull this off. And they say no publicity is bad publicity at times, but to me, he put a nail in his coffin. No one's doing business with that guy ever again.
I don't, at least not in the States, they're not. I mean, maybe in Timbuktu or somewhere, but I don't think it's going to happen in the States at all, man.
I mean,
and it's sad. It really is, because I have to say this. I was kind of leaning like, hear the guy out. If it's credible and it's a viable deal, hear him out. And then when I heard that they shut him down before even hearing him out, I was a little upset. Not the fact that he didn't win anything, but I want everyone to be able to be heard, if you will. That's if you understand what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, no, I gotcha. I mean, you were texting me during his interview with the Junkies. You know, we're going back and forth, and it's like, yeah, man, some of this stuff makes sense. And once you started getting some of the hard-hitting questions, he was bumbling and stumbling. And it's just, unless he's gonna, you know, sell something to, like, is it the Amish? They don't have electricity and internet. Unless he's going to go like try and sell them something because they don't got like an iPhone or any way to look stuff up, I just can't see how this guy can do any business. In the NFL, they are so ridiculously strict. There's no way they were going to do any business with him, even if it was somewhat legit, just because he couldn't come up with real reasonings. And apparently he falsified statements. And I don't want to get into hearsay with it, but the thing is, the Denver Broncos deal was with the Walton family, one of the richest families in the world. They own Walmart. I'm about to sign up for Walmart Plus because I get Paramount Plus with it, and I get groceries delivered. You know, they're going to get some of my money, so maybe I'll own part of the Broncos, maybe like
a
point. Yeah,
a half of a percentage.
That didn't get approved until July. It took a while. So we're getting text messages on our thread. Raphael, appreciate you chiming in, and just other stuff. This is going to happen. Roger Goodell saying it's going to happen. The other NFL owners want this to happen, but they are not going to make the same mistake they did with Dan Snyder. They are not going to bring in a potential cancer to their ownership group without making sure that they vet everything. So 20 people are all going to have background checks. They're all going to have financial checks. They're all going to make sure that every single I is dotted and T is crossed. On top of that, don't you think Bank of America is going to make sure they do their checks, because they're also in an indictment because of the whole Dan Snyder money line of credit thing that he never actually got approved with his other owners at that time. So there's a lot of people looking at these things.
And I hear you. And the thing that bothers me is the NFL is a multi-billion-dollar a year league. And to me, it seems as though, and I know this isn't the case, but it seems as though they only have like one background investigator. Dude, source it out. Come on, get all the background investigators that you need to get this deal done. Now, I know that's on fan time. That's not on NFL time. And I'm sure, like you said, the NFL wants to get it done and the owners want to get it done. But gosh, man, let's just go ahead and from a fan perspective, it's like a kid waiting for Christmas. It's taking too long, Dad.
It is, man. It is.
You know what I mean?
And Jim Irsay was quoted at the owners meeting. Let's see here. He said the owners hope to ratify the sale before the start of the season in September, but Harris's deal is not there yet, and it's compliance with league ownership rules. There's no question there's work to be done on it. We're hopeful, though, that it'll happen. It better happen before the beginning of the year, but realistically, the only thing that is hurting is the players and the fans. And at a certain point, there were talks prior to the Harris Group coming forth with their bid of making these rules not so strict, allowing, potential foreign money, allowing conglomerates to come together like the NBA does to purchase teams. This is $6.05 billion. I think the NFL is going to have to take a hard look, because when the Seahawks go for sale down the road, which is going to happen, and Bezos comes in probably and buys them, like, what are you going to do? These teams are getting more and more expensive. So some of these rules are kind of old and antiquated. The collective net worth of the 20 individuals is over $100 billion. But they're questioning some of the financing because Josh Harris is leveraging his assets that he owns with other professional sports franchises. So is he going to go bankrupt with the Philadelphia 76ers? Are the New Jersey Devils going to go bankrupt in the NHL? I highly doubt that. But on top of that, he has backing from 19 other people that are billionaires. Just get this damn thing done. Because
exactly.
It's hurting Cam Curl's contract extension. It's hurting, a lot of things that can help improve this franchise and this fan
Stadium
base.
deal.
Yeah.
Stadium deal.
Stadium deal. Just to say one of them. I mean, there's so many things happening here.
Yeah. And here's the other thing that they know it's deterring. So we saw the shift in once they announced that, hey, ownership is being bought out. We saw the shift of how many people came back. There still are people, that pocket of people, who are very skeptical, who still want to spend their money, but not under Dan. And no, he isn't there, but he still is there. And they're not going to spend any money until, as we said, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. People, they're ready to spend their freaking money, but they still just don't want to do it until it's totally done. And that's, you said, the fans, that side of the house is holding it up. I mean, you want to talk about X's and O's and dollars and cents. Well, you're holding back your dollars because of this right here, because people still are ready to make a move, but you're holding them back.
Oh, I get it, man. And it cracks me up. There are those fans that are saying, well, I don't want to put a single dollar in Dan Snyder's pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Well, have you ever had a Budweiser? You ever had a Bud Light?
Yeah.
Have you ever shopped at Best Buy? Have you ever eaten Frito-Lay or drank Gatorade? Have you ever shopped at Lowe's? Because all of those companies are partnered with the NFL. It's about revenue share. So every single owner gets money out of that. Marriott, NFL sponsor. Have you ever stayed at a Marriott? I know I have. I don't know.
Oh, I love it.
Other trips.
Yeah.
So let's be realistic. All you are doing is hurting the actual players by allowing opposing fans to take over our stands. You're not making Dan hurt or cry one bit because you're not coming to FedEx to support the players. You support the players, not the actual owner itself. And that's a whole pod for a different day.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to get back on board, now is the time to do it. I mean, I'm mad I missed OTAs. I didn't get a chance to be out there. I know a bunch of my boys were. And seeing and hearing the fans' reaction, I mean, to me, we're starting to finally heal again. And we're getting a chance to actually talk about football, other than obviously the first 20 minutes of the show. But man, it's going to be there. And slowly but surely, that's all the show is going to be about, is football again. And speaking of which, no Montez, no Charles Leno, no Chase Young. You frustrated like me, or it's voluntary, you don't really care?
I'm 50-50. And there's a part of me that says, okay. But you better you better be ready to go when I ask you to go. And then there's another part of me that is saying, well, wait a minute, your other brothers are over there. You should be there as well. So I'm 50-50. I think that you shouldn't call it voluntary. I just, because you put people into this quandary, and it happens every year. This year it's Chase Young, and Montez and Leno. Last year it was whoever. Next year it's going to be whoever. And as long as there are contract deals to be made, you're going to have this type of thing happen every year. So it shouldn't be something that's new. I think at this point, get over it, slow down. They're human beings. As I said, I'm 50-50. So the frosted mini wheat side of me says, but then the toasted wheat says, nah. So once mandatory OTAs happen, and hypothetically they're not there because they're holding out for a contract, then you'll start to see a little bit more anger out of me.
Yeah, and there are ways you can do it, right? Like Chase wasn't there last year, but Deron Payne in a contract negotiation showed up, just didn't actually participate in any team drills. So Cam Curl is actually taking that same tact. He is in a contract negotiation. He wants his extension. We've talked about it on the show, how his dad is being vocal on social media saying that Cam needs to get paid and needs to get that extension. The team actually doesn't need to give him one because he's still under contract and he's only making $2 million this year. And I say only two, but a player of his caliber, he should be getting easily $12 million a season. So he is definitely underpaid. This is how Cam was handling it. This was Cam at practice last week.
I'm just coming to work, what I'm saying, being around the guys, doing my job, what I'm saying, getting back 100% healthy, what I'm saying, just coming to work,
Just to clarify, you're healthy?
Yeah, right? I'm good, I'm just coming to work every day.
Is the sitting out team part related to kind of your contract situation? Or?
Nah, I'm just coming to work, being with the guys, I like being around my team, that's why I'm here. So I'm just coming to work, be with the team every day.
Cam's at least coming to work.
If there was ever, and I do mean ever, a script that his agent told him to follow, it was, I'm coming to work to be with my team, and I'm 100% healthy. Those three answers answer everything that you need to know. I'm coming to work, I'm healthy, and I want to be with my team. Done.
But hats off to him, man. He's going the Deron route. He's showing up. He's there. He's stretching. We've got a young secondary. They just drafted Quan. They just drafted Forbes. Cam's part of that secondary. He's sitting in meetings with these guys. He's getting a chance to talk to them. Chase isn't there. Montez isn't there. And to me, the problem I have with Chase not showing, and I get it's voluntary, but I'm sorry, it's voluntold. And for a player like Chase Young, who the team did not exercise your fifth-year option, you were the second player drafted in the NFL draft, and they didn't exercise your option. That is a slap in your face. The last first-round pick whose option we did not exercise was Josh Dotson. You don't want to be in a class where you're compared to Josh Dotson. I'm sorry. That to me would make me show up just to prove people wrong, that I am actually motivated and I want to be here. But this is what Ron said about the no-shows.
A couple of guys weren't there yesterday, Chase, Montez, Charles too, but with Chase and Montez especially, how it's voluntary, but how do you view that?
Well, you always would like to have all your guys here, but again, it's voluntary and we understand that. And the nice thing though is, I've been in contact with them. They're working out. They're getting, they're progressing, getting themselves ready to go. And, when it all comes down to it, we'll see them when they have to be here.
Rivera's hands are tied. He can't say anything really because it is voluntary. But it's just, if your boss wants you to do something, but it's not mandatory, but they've got that inflection in their voice, or that email they send you or that text that you should do this if you want to, look good for your boss and keep your job. To me, that's what this scenario is like with Chase. And I'm not even bringing Montez up because to me, he's got less to prove. Yes, he was a first round pick, but he wasn't the second overall pick. And Tez has been healthy. But that's just why I got an issue with this. And I don't understand fans that are defending Chase when he's literally done nothing since his rookie season.
Hey, I got to make that money, babe. Got to make that money, babe.
Yeah, and he missed OTAs because he famously said he was out trying to make that money. And hey, I get it, but you have such a short window as an NFL player. You played 9 games in 2021 and you had 1.5 sacks. People like to say he was injured. Yeah, he was. What happened those other 9 games? So to me, you start off slow, and Jack Del Rio complained last year about starting off slow because guys weren't OTAs. Now you're doing the exact same thing again. It's a cycle, man.
Well, I think what's going to happen, Ted, is once he goes to practice, and if they start to see those exact same traits being played out again, then yes, you're an NFL pro, but your time will start to decrease on the field. That's what I see is happening until you can get yourself together where you need to be. Hopefully, he comes in gangbusters and puts all of the naysayers to rest. That's what I'm hoping in a perfect world. I really am. And I think that sometimes not being there, I know you won't think this way, but not being there can help your cause, because now it can help or hurt. Let me explain this. It can help your cause because you can come back and just be ripped and just show everyone this is the reason why and just ball out. It can hurt you. You can come back and you're ripped, but you're still doing the exact same thing. You're doing the exact same thing that you did before. So it's a double-edged sword, man, that these guys that are professional athletes got to play. We as fans don't like it. In our fandom, we want to see everything right down the pipe like a fastball so we can hit it out of the park every time. That's what we want. We don't like anything outside of that. But those guys, they're human, they're pros, they throw curveballs. So, and it makes us as fans upset. So I'm willing to, as I said, I'm 50-50. I'm willing to let him do what he feels he needs to do. But best believe you come back and you're not right, then you better be ready for that ridicule that you know you're going to get.
Well, this was Ron on if he's concerned about the guys not being there.
In 2021, when Chase and Montez weren't here for the off-season workouts, it may have slowed, some of the implementation of, scheme or things like that. How do you avoid that happening, and what's your concern that could happen again? I'm not as concerned just because these guys are a little bit older, a little bit more veteran. And, when they get here, they'll just, jump right in. They did come for the first week. They did get a lot of the installation stuff originally that we're going to do. Defensively, I know this much. We'll go through this installation process 3 times during this period, from when we start phase 1 all the way till we get to the mini camp. And then we'll go through it again when we get to training camp. So a lot of it will be redundant at some point. But to get it all, would have been nice. But again, this is voluntary. So where we are is pretty much working with the guys that are here.
So for me, it depends on the player. I was never worried about Trent Williams not being ready. Trent never came to OTAs, but he was busting his ass. He would actually have all the other O-linemen fly out and train with him. They would go through his Pilates drills, everything else that Trent was doing. They did the whole Hogs 2.0 thing. Morgan Moses in the biggest t-shirt I think I've ever seen in my life. I mean, Trent was always ready no matter what. Last year, Terry held out. Terry did not show up. I don't have a problem with that because Terry earned it. Terry would be ready. In hindsight, Terry probably should have been there because the chemistry he had with Carson was not there. And missing camp and not being there with him probably contributed to that, missing OTAs. But no shame on Terry for making sure he gets paid. I mean, Reuben Foster didn't play a single snap for this team and got hurt in OTAs, never stepped foot in the football field again. So NFL contracts are not guaranteed like NBA contracts. I get it. Chase has not earned that, in my opinion. He has not earned a damn thing in the NFL. That's why they never gave him the fifth-year option. So to me, you got to prove it. And how are you going to prove it if you're working out on your own and you're doing a 1.5-minute TikTok video and that's it? So that's just my whole thing of.
But you don't think? Come on, Ted. You don't think that he's just doing hypothetically doing a minute TikTok video?
No,
and
he's working out.
And now he's fishing someplace. I mean, come on, man. That's why I said let's give the guy just a little bit of credit, even though he didn't show it. Okay.
I can't give him benefit of the doubt, man. He has lost that right from me as a fan to have the benefit of the doubt because he has done nothing. He has literally done nothing since his rookie year. 1.5 sacks in 21 when you played 9 games. We've got Casey Toohill and James Smith-Williams that have been more productive than the 2nd-round pick in the freaking NFL draft. I'm sorry, he just has not earned it. And if he is there, he can learn from Ryan Kerrigan. He can learn from Scanina. He can do stuff. And if he doesn't want to actually practice because he's upset about his contract, then prove that you're worth getting that dollar. And to me, he's got to have a heck of a season for us to want to extend him. And it kills me because he's a young kid. He lives in our area. He's from here. He went to DeMatha. I'm right down the street from there. Gotten to know his family decently. They probably hate my ass because I'm not a fan of him anymore. But to me, you are your brand. And to me, Chase's brand is someone that does the bare minimum when it comes to being a teammate. Not on game day, because he's rah, up and down, yelling and screaming. But when it comes to putting in the work, when you don't actually have a clock ticking, he puts in the minimum. Just that's what I've been saying.
Okay. I'm going to err on the side of caution. And don't get me wrong, I do agree with a lot of what you're saying. I am to the point now where you got to show me like everyone else. So, okay, you're not there. I don't like it. But what can I do about it? So now, as I said, you better show me. And if you don't show me, then be prepared to be ridiculed or whatever you want to call it. And at this point, he may not even care. He may not. But
I think that's part of the problem. I think if he cared, he'd be there. And yeah, you're right.
Okay.
We will see. It's a contract year for him. It's a contract year for Montez. And oddly enough, or coincidence, he and Montez have the same agent. So is Montez not showing up a contractual play? Is he doing the opposite of Cam and, not wanting to be with his teammates because he's going through this contract negotiation or extension that he feels that he earned? And I agree with Montez. Montez, should get that contract extension. But unfortunately, a lot of contracts are on hold. And this is actually Rivera talking about that.
And with regards to Cam or anybody else who's got a potential contract situation lingering, is that just all on hold right now until the ownership situation is resolved, or is there any potential progress going on there?
Well, for the most part, everything's on hold. We'll let the process as far as the ownership piece continue to unfold and develop. I know about as much as you guys do. And so as that process goes, we'll continue to do as much of the football business as usual as we can.
Do you see my face?
Oh yeah.
I got the for those who can't see my face, I got the what you talking about, Willis, look on my face, because he said he didn't know the name of the team. That was BS. He knew it. So you already know what the deal is. The true insiders, the true insiders, they know what the deal is. They know when it's going to happen. It's like them saying, well, do you know what the NFL schedule is? No, I don't know what the schedule is. Bull. You know what the schedule is, but you can't leak it. So that's how I view this. But you can't tell us, and I'm okay with it. But, give me a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't blame Rivera. I also don't believe Rivera. And it's a thing is, you know a little bit more. All we're doing is being punished at this point by the sale taking too long. Cam Curl's contract is in limbo. Everything is stopped basically from large contract negotiations after they locked up Duran. You know, it's just frustrating. Until this thing gets done, there's not much we can do other than worry about the people that are there right now. And to me, the good news is it sounds like Eric Bieniemy is focusing and worrying about the people that are there right now. And you were at rookie mini camp and you heard him getting into players' asses. And I am hearing the exact same thing about what's going on in OTAs right now. I do too, man. It is a complete 180 from what was happening prior, where Ron would just sit there with his arms crossed. You know, Bieniemy, apparently Howell threw an interception last week. Bieniemy got on his ass for not chasing it down. Howell threw the pick and just acted like the play was over. And Bieniemy got in him, said, "You threw it. Go after the guy. Go get it."
That's right. Like my mom told me, you ordered it. You better eat it. It's yours.
That's not what I've heard before. So.
No, I haven't heard that from that side of the house either. And it's refreshing because it's needed. You're coming in and you're trying to plant your flag, not someone else's flag, your flag, and your name is on the line here for potentially to do almost anything that you want to do in the NFL. If you can get this done now, you're pretty much golden to go. If you don't want to stay here, to go someplace else, because a lot of people are looking at you doing this. Let's see how he does. This is the test bed to see how he does.
See, I feel that even if he does bad here, he's going to be given slack because Washington is the reverse car wash. You come in clean and you leave dirty. I mean, it's just, that is our brand. That's what we're known for.
Oh, man. Winning off the field.
Yeah. Even if EB does not do well, you know, you have examples of where he is doing what he should do. Matt Paris, Washington Times, said here in a tweet, today in Bieniemy, he made Brian Robinson redo his pre-snap motion. Then after he did it correctly, he made the offense do it again. Simple shit. This is the shit that's going to win games, he said. And that's an Eric Bieniemy quote. So stuff like that, the attention to detail that I don't feel we have had as a team in a very long time is finally there. And that's what has me excited.
Well, we had to focus on every other thing besides that. I mean, there was always something else happening with us that we couldn't focus on that. And let's face it, we've said it before, Ron was wearing too many hats. And when you wear that many hats, there's no way you can focus on being detailed that way. And I know that, you know, military family and the whole 9 yards, I get it, but you got to delegate, and you can't wear that many hats. And the fact of the matter is and some things he missed. And it's clear that he missed. We don't need to go over what he missed, but he missed a lot of things. So now you've got someone else that you can just sit back and let them be the guard dog and bark the orders.
Yeah. And one thing I thought was interesting is they're actually miking up Sam Howell now. So they're checking his cadence. They're checking to see how he takes players in and out of the huddle. And this is not something that they typically do. So this was a Bieniemy ask, you know, to be able to try and get that. And then they're going back and playing it and listening to it. And there's a lot of different things.
You mean to tell me that before we hadn't been doing that?
No, they're not miking up individual quarterbacks during team drills. And they're doing it now with Sam Howell. And Sam, during his press conference today, said he's never had that done before. And it's kind of odd going back and hearing yourself. And I think the same thing sometimes when I listen to our podcast and I'm air checking us, you know, it's like, oh, I really sound like that. But to me, it's those little details. Howell said that Bieniemy's offense is wordy. Those were the terms he used. So there's a lot that he's got to get out. And it's making sure that he's getting the information out to his fellow teammates when he's calling those calls, making those calls. And this was actually Rivera talking about the difference in Howell now compared to last year when he was just a rook.
What differences have you seen in Sam Howell, even from the end of the season?
Well, I mean, he's still confident, got a lot of confidence. But the difference I'm seeing really is from when he first got started, when we began OTAs, to where he is now. The way he handles things, his command in terms of the things that he's doing. One of the things that we're doing, it's something we had done when I was in way back when I was in Chicago. But we mic Sam up so we can listen to him, the way he's handling the huddle calls, how he's handling things at the line of scrimmage. It's given us a lot of insight into that. We're going to do it with all our quarterbacks, but we started with Sam last week. And so it's really interesting to watch the way you can see he's stepping into the huddle, he's taking charge, taking command. And it's one of the things that, when you listen to Eric, and you guys will hear him, when something happens, he'll tell the quarterback, hey, you got to take charge. And you're starting to see that. And with all of them, but you are seeing it now. I do notice it with Sam.
So are you going over the mic stuff with him to
they are.
Go over that?
The offensive guys are.
So has he kind of progressed with that even through the
Well, we've only done it a couple of times, but you see the growth already. And for me, it was pretty good. I was watching it this morning, and a couple of things that really stood out to me was really his confident level in terms of calling the huddle, breaking the huddle, getting to the line of scrimmage, making his calls, and then operating the offense.
Those little things, that attention to detail, that this is Ron's 4th year he's been here, right? But I guess maybe because he's a defensive head coach, he never really cared. Maybe because Scott Turner was too young, didn't really know or want to do this stuff, or they dealt with vets like Alex Smith and Ryan Fitzpatrick till he went down that water slide. They didn't really think about doing this stuff during camp, but I'm hoping that this is the small stuff that adds up to us actually winning a couple of games down the road when, your season's on the line. If we would have won a couple more games last year, maybe one of those 2 Giant games, instead of calling a timeout because your guys weren't ready or you didn't get the play call in on time and this and that could have been the difference between a tie and an actual win.
Well, one thing that it also tells me is he said that he couldn't do it last year. He didn't do it last year. And it goes back to what I said. You just had too many things on your plate. And now you can go back and see those things. And I'm hoping that actually because of that, it'll trigger more things out of his head that he can say, oh, you know what? We can do this. Whereas before, he was dealing with cancer. He was dealing with the offense, the defense, player personnel. He was dealing with so much stuff to where there's just no way something's going to fall through the cracks. It just is. So now you can. One thing that I hear, Ted, believe it or not, and I don't know if you can pick this up or not, I pick up a little bit of relief out of him. He's energized. I really hear that in his voice. I hear that.
I think you're spot on. He does sound a little bit different, and maybe because it's May and it's not, October, and we haven't gone on, a couple of tough games and losing streaks, whatever, because his teams start off slow. But, he has a assistant head coach. You like to talk about that. That's not a moniker that he gives out lightly. We haven't had an assistant head coach. And from everything I'm seeing and hearing and reading, Bieniemy is taking that and running with it. And I hope that means that we're going to be a better football team because of it. And when we can finally stop talking about trademarks and names and ownership votes, that this is actually going to come down to you and me winning our bet, because Vegas has us only winning 6.5 games next season. And I'm in Maryland right now. I definitely threw some cash down on the over.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now we can't tell you guys what to do, and please bet responsibly. If you do, but 6 games, man, I think that's possible, bro. All we needed was a play caller that can get the ball down the field, and look what we got. Look what we got last year. You can almost say that we're coming back better, stronger. I'm hoping faster. We'll see. Just from the little things that I've seen when I was at OTAs, and yes, they're only in shorts and T-shirts, shorts and panties, as I said, you know, but things look different. Am I a homer? But they just look different, bro.
They do. They do. And one thing that I think unfortunately looks the same is we had one injury. Armani Rogers ruptured his Achilles tendon. He's out for the season. So a lot of people wanted us to draft a tight end. We are not going to draft a Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce comes around once in a generation. It just wasn't going to be there, but we didn't draft a tight end at all. Our plan was Logan Thomas, John Bates, Cole Turner, and Armani Rogers. Last year, the tight end group combined for 60 catches, 518 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The 4th least productive tight end unit in the NFL. The only people worse were the Panthers, the Bears, and the Dolphins. And Armani Rogers, who they were hoping was going to be something this season, is gone. You
that
talk
sucks.
about it does. And you talk about Ron wearing too many hats. To me, this is another part where this man should not be in charge of personnel. And it drives me crazy that he is. I just hope that a decent tight end gets cut post June 1 that's out there on the market, and they decide to bring him in or they get a chance.
Well, first, let me say, Armani Rogers and your family, I hope that you're doing better. I hope that, you know, that your surgery went well. That's first and foremost. Football is going to be here for you. You're a young man. You'll be able to bounce back. And don't take this the wrong way, but I never want to see anyone get injured, but I'm glad it happened now versus in the middle of the season, that type of thing. And you know, I never want to see anyone get hurt, but so understand what I'm saying. You know, we're glad that it happened before things for, you know, the 53-man team is down to, and now we've got to try to pull someone and try to pull strings, and now we've got time, if you will, to be able to, as you said, kind of, if we needed to, pick and choose. But I think that we're going to stay with Logan Thomas, and I think what's the kid? He was going to be. They thought he was going to be a starter. I can't think of his name.
Hodges.
But Hodges, yeah. So I mean, I think that we're all right. You know, our level of confidence isn't as high as it was, but at the same time, it's not in the dirt. So we're flying with all stick right now. You know, there's no engine, we're gliding, if that makes sense. So once
makes perfect sense.
Once we can solidify this thing and we get these engines going, then we'll see if we get some altitude and crawl out of it. But I think right now, you know, we're just maintaining.
And the thing is, Rodgers had 5 catches last year for 64 yards. So it's not like he was a gigantic contributor and we're losing something massive. Like Logan Thomas going down, we know what he did that season, and not having him was a pain. And I figured you would love this.
Yeah.
The team invited Brandon Dillon. And Brandon Dillon played for the Vegas Vipers. He was a tight end for the Vegas Vipers of the XFL. So you love those stories, man. We went to go watch a game. You know, he's getting a chance to try out. Dillon was on the Vikings. He didn't do anything while he was there. I think he actually might have had 1 catch. I'm not sure. I got to pull it up. But he was signed to the Jets practice squad, but he's been in the league. And to me, he's hungry. He's got to earn a roster spot. They need a training camp body. Maybe he can actually do something and prove that, hey, the XFL could be a stepping stone for the NFL.
I always love to hear it. You're right. I love to hear it, man, because all eyes are on you. And what better way than to do it to the next best screen, which is the XFL. So it's right below the NFL. But as we're seeing a lot of people pull up these XFL guys from different various teams. So I'm happy to hear that. And I hope that maybe we can find a spot for him if he is that good.
Yeah, if he's worthy, it'd be great. And there are a ton of XFL players that are being signed. Just one thing to keep in mind is your training camp roster is 90 people. I want to know how many make the 53. That to me is going to be the true test. But these young men are getting a chance to live out their dream and actually see if they can play and can contribute. And hats off to the Rock and everyone in that league for, having a good product. The defenders didn't exactly, pan out, and it kills me that we lost to Dallas in the end. Out of all the freaking teams to lose to, it was Dallas. I get it's Arlington, but we know it's Dallas. But I'm rooting for this kid. I can't wait to see him at training camp when we're out there. And I'm hoping he gets a chance. And I'm hoping we get a chance to see him at the Ravens joint practice with the team, because we are going to be practicing up in Owings Mills with the purple and black up there.
And as soon as I find out what's needed, I plan on being there. I need to be in the house, straight up.
I'm right there with you. And I know that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know if the team is auctioning, selling, giving season ticket members any type of incentive. I don't know. So if you're listening, let us know so that we can be in the house.
I don't know how it's going to work, because it's the Ravens practice. They're hosting us. Nobody wants to come to Ashburn. So do the Commanders have a chance to actually invite fans? To me, what's going to happen is they're going to invite suite holders. They're going to use this as a chance to, oh, hey, buy club seats and we'll get you passes to go to this game. I hope I'm wrong, but odds are it's going to be limited quantity, and they're all about selling season tickets. And I get it. It's a business. I just hope that we do get a chance to see the boys back, and we're going to get a chance to actually be at that practice, because it would be great to be up there seeing them against real competition, because the Ravens have not lost a preseason game. As ridiculous and inconsequential a stat that is, Harbaugh makes them bust their ass if they haven't lost a single preseason game.
And I love to hear that. And I hear the music, which lets me know that it's close to being that time. If you're interested in going to Dallas, I'm almost sold out. I didn't think that we'd have a large group because it was Thanksgiving and people want to stay at home with the family. Wrong. I'm almost sold out. Also, if you're thinking about coming to LA, I've got an excellent package. Go to my website, www.sbevents.net. Check out the packages that I have. You'll be amazed. And with that being said, I rep it hard. Ted reps it hard. What about you guys? Do you rep it hard? And if you don't rep it hard, then you better not rep it at all. So on that note, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the DMV Mess Hall. Feels good being back in the house, baby. DMV Mess Hall. Subscribe, like. It goes a long way with us, guys. It really does. And you will see what we're talking about this upcoming season. Thank you for listening, watching. You rep it hard, and you don't rep it at all. Tailgate Ted, Rally Captain. And we'll be out.